Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We are in the Epistle to the Hebrews, chapter 5, verses 7 through 14. The author has talked about how Jesus is the great high priest who, even though he's the Son of God, has taken on our human life to understand what it means to be human. And now he speaks about how Jesus offered up fervent prayers and petitions, crying before the Lord, asking him to save him from death. Now, when did that happen? Well, it happened in the Garden of Gethsemane, and all the gospel authors record it. Luke especially tells us how fervent Jesus was in his prayers. And think about it, every human being wants to avoid death. And that actually is one of our greatest temptations, is to avoid death, because oftentimes we will, steal, lie, and cheat to try to avoid any kind of death, any kind of loss or failure, right? It's a big part of the human experience, but especially death. He's trying. But then it says that he prayed to the one who could save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverent submission. Now, he was heard, but he still ended up dying on the cross. So what does it mean that he was heard? Well, God still answered his prayer. But how many times have you prayed for something and it hasn't turned out the way you wanted, right? God does answer Jesus' prayer, and God answers our prayers even though they don't turn out the way they want. It says that because of his reverent submission, even though he was the Son of God, he had to learn obedience. Now, what does that mean? When Jesus is the Son of God in heaven, there's no temptation not to obey the Father. He just is. He's with the Father. He is the God. And so there's no question about that, right? But here on earth, as he takes on human form, what's part of what he has to go through is temptation. What is the greatest temptation that every human being has? It's to bail on God, to disobey God. And when is the greatest temptation of Jesus? At the cross, right? I mean, the priests and the crowd and the soldiers and even the thief on the cross are telling him, hey, if you're the Son of God, just jump on down and show us. Get off the cross. And yet Jesus was obedient to the Father all the way through death. And it says in verse 9, he was made perfect. Now, what does that mean? Wasn't Jesus perfect anyways, because he was truly human, truly man, and truly God? Well, I think about it more in terms of a work of art. A work of art is something that is perfected, right? And that's what happened with Jesus, is that he was perfected. He completed his work. And what is his work? It's dying on the cross to bring about salvation and to be raised from the dead. And that is what is the answer to the prayer, is that Jesus Christ is raised from the dead and glorified. And now, because he's become made perfect in the cross and in the resurrection, he becomes the source of salvation for all who hold to that profession of faith and obey Christ, trust him. And that makes him the high priest that's forever of Melchizedek, as it says, which we're going to talk about later again. But then we get to verse 11, and I don't have time. So I just need to wrap up, read the rest. We'll talk to you soon. Have a blessed day.